Did I love this movie? Perhaps. I feel like I've been saying that for like almost every video I've been doing. Guess it's not that hard to please me. In a movie sense, not a physical sense. This Ryan Coogler guy, he's pretty good. The first movie I saw from him was Fruitvale Station, which had Michael B Jordon, just like this one has Michael B Jordon. And I remember really thinking that was a great movie. I think it was based off a true story, but I haven't seen it in years, so. What was his next movie? Creed? Yeah. His next movie was Creed. And I remember I wanted to see that movie because it was Ryan Coogler. And I remember not being disappointed when I saw that movie, which was real good. Was Rocky in that one? Yeah, I think he was in that one. Sylvester Stallone. When he was taking all that water during the California drought. Remember that? What does this guy think he is? Then what? I think he went straight into Black Panther after that, which also had Michael B Jordon. I remember when I saw it in theaters, I really liked it. And is it still the highest rated Marvel movie from the cinematic universe? But then after the movie came out, after some time, people were coming out and were like, actually, this movie isn't that good. And I was like, really? Then I remember seeing it again years later, and I think I could see where those people were coming from, because I did start having a different opinion on it on my second viewing. And then you got like that CGI fight scene at the end. Michael B Jordon and what's that guy's name? The one who died, Chadwick Boseman. When they were fighting each other, when I saw it at my house on the TV, I was thinking, dang, I don't remember this looking that bad. Like, it looked pretty bad. I don't know how I didn't notice it in the theaters. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Black Panther. We're here to talk about Sinners. This whole time I've been wasting talking about other movies. I haven't even gotten to the movie I want to talk about. Just listen. The first thing I noticed was I put on the 4K disc and it took me to the main menu. It has this like ethereal music that just sounds like unique. And I'm like, wow, I really like the vibe they're going for here. It's true, that's what I said. The second thing I noticed was the aspect ratio. And I don't remember like some of those numbers, like 27.32 times 56 pi divided by the fourth aspect ratio. I don't even know. I only know about 4:3, 16:9, 1:1. I guess it can be anything. 5:10. Well, this one looked like it was filmed on a real widescreen format. I don't think the whole movie was shot in IMAX. I don't think. But, you know, it would switch between widescreen and then IMAX format where it fills up the entire screen. Yeah, that was the second thing I noticed, because the top and bottom black bars of the screen were real big. And, you know, if you blew the image up, it would be like super widescreen. Definitely was shot on film. I mean, you can tell. I'm actually a fan of like the film grain. I think a lot of people don't like that stuff. I guess it gives the impression that the image is like dirty or something. But I like film grain. It makes me feel like I'm watching something that I'm supposed to be paying attention to, rather than just, you know, like the digital camera. I mean, there's movies that have real great cinematography on digital. Like, I'm thinking Denis Villeneuve's movies like Blade Runner, Sicario. I think Roger Deakins shoots on digital, right? Do you guys know who Deakins is? He's my homie. As the movie was going on, I was just thinking to myself, man, the cinematography is like crazy good. And like the way they did the colors, it kind of made you feel like you were watching something from, when does it take place? Like the 1930s or something? The only problem I had in that aspect is, because, you know, I have the OLED TV, and I guess they're known for, like when there's like a darkly lit scene in a movie, that the TV will start getting like real dark. OLEDs do that on purpose to like protect the screen or something. So then there was a lot of darkly lit scenes in this movie where the screen was constantly lowering its brightness So I had to do that thing where I grab the TV remote and I just like press the settings option, which brings up the menu, and then exit out right away. And then when you do that, it brings the TV back to the normal brightness. I don't know. That was just pretty annoying. I had to keep doing that like throughout the whole movie, basically. Not the whole movie, but when it was starting to get dark in the scenes, which was a lot of the movie. Who made these TVs anyway? George Clooney? Tom Hanks? What's interesting to me is that this movie is just like actually not quite what I expected from that. I've only seen the first trailer, but a pleasant surprise. I could feel when I was watching the movie that it felt like, as the movie was wrapping up, I was like, this is a real unique movie. And it's got that personal feeling to it. Like the filmmakers were really passionate about what they were doing and what they were making. And the heavy emphasis on like blues music and just, I guess, music in general. And that's another thing was I thought the music was fantastic. And the composer, Ludwig, Grasson. I don't even know this guy's name. Grandson? Ludwig? Earwig? But I know he's been doing like the music, I think, for the Black Panther movies, and Ryan Coogler's been using him ever since. Did he work on Creed? I think he's also been working with Christopher Nolan recently, since that Tenet movie, I think. And then he did Oppenheimer. And I'm pretty sure he's doing The Odyssey. Earwig Goranson. What I noticed was when things were going down, and things were getting heated, horror, tension stuff happening, the music would go into like this, I don't even know like how I would describe it. It almost sounded like gothic music almost. Kind of reminded me of music they would have used in like an 80s horror movie. Like one of those campy movies. I wonder, it's been a while since I've seen it, but it was kind of making me think of Lost Boys. It was giving me like this 80s nostalgic, campy feel almost. But it just felt like it worked. And they were incorporating music that was like, I don't know, just different than what you would expect. But then also incorporate the music from that time period that you would expect, but they just do it so well. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually kind of like the whole movie has that feeling of like an 80s throwback in a way. But it was made by like this serious filmmaker who knows what he's doing and just makes great movies. But it felt like he incorporated like some wackiness to it, a bit of goofiness to what was happening. Those were the aspects of the movie I wasn't expecting. Now I remember as they were happening, I was like, wait a minute, do I like this? This is weird. This movie's weirder than that time Tom Cruise was jumping on Oprah's couch. The acting all around was superb. I mean, you got Haley Steinfeld. I remember the first time I saw her was in that True Grit movie. Was that her first movie? I don't know, but I remember watching that movie in the Dollar Theater way back in the day. The 2000s, 2005s or something, 2008s. When that movie come out? I'm just throwing random numbers, dude. And then I was watching it, and I remember really straining to hear what Jeff Bridges was saying. Haley Steinfeld, I remember her being like super good in that movie. Actually, I think she was nominated for an Academics Award. I don't think she won though. And ever since, I've been seeing her pop up all over the place. This is the first time I've seen her in a while where I'm like, dang, she's back. Then you got Michael B. Jordan. I think he also showed up in that show, The Wire, but I haven't seen it, so I don't freaking know. I haven't seen it, so, I don't freaking know. I've always been a fan of Michael B. Jordan. This guy is charismatic. He's just a leading actor. He's got that thing, that leading actor thing. When you look at him, you're like, he's got it. You got that thing, kid. But then you got like other people, like, I don't want to pick on him, but I'm going to do it. Anthony Mackie, the new Captain America. He played the Falcon, right? I think he's a pretty good actor, but he just doesn't have that thing. He doesn't have the leading man thing. At least not to me. But Michael B Jordon, he's got it. Then you got that one guy in there. I didn't even know he was in there. I'm too lazy to look up his name. Well, here, I'll throw up a picture. I remember being sort of blown away by his performance in that Spike Lee movie, The Five Bloods. And Chadwick Boseman was in that one too. He was real good. And apparently my mama says he was playing with my older brother when he was little at like the store or something. And they were doing like breakdancing. They were jumping around on that big piano mat. And then they did like a dance number. I told my mom, I'm like, this doesn't sound right. He can't be doing musical numbers. That's not right. But for real, he actually met my brother. But he was young. So, his brain was stupid back then, so he doesn't remember. But my parents remember. I'm just choosing to believe them. I didn't know he was going to be in the movie. And when I saw him, I was like, what? That's the guy. That's the dude. And he was great. He almost felt like sort of like a comedy relief character in a way. I think that was another thing too with the comedy stuff. Like, I was surprised of the goofiness factor that was in there and like some of the wacky stuff, but they also like, had this guy as like the comedy relief almost. And that was like one of the things I wasn't so sure on, was that something serious would happen and literally like 2 seconds later he would say some kind of like joke or say something that's supposed to be funny. I remember thinking like, this is actually a funny line, but I'm quite emotional right now. Why are you making jokes? I didn't know if I was supposed to laugh or keep crying. I guess it doesn't matter, right? You laugh, cry, poop. Doesn't matter. It's art. You do whatever you want. But I don't think it bothered me that much because the rest of the movie was so insane and amazing. What it surprised me too was the amount of practical effects that they used. I mean, during the movie, I remember thinking, like the blood and stuff and the gore, all the stuff you would think would be CG. Apparently, a lot of it was practical. I didn't even know that. And it looks so good. But now I think I want to talk a bit about spoilers. Here's your warning. Actually, to be honest, I don't even know if this is a spoiler. But like, the main threat of the movie is the vampires, led by this Irish dude or something. I remember the first time you see him is like this awesome, like the dolly shot going in onto this house. And then all of a sudden he just lands from the air from like the top of the screen. And he just like hits the ground pretty hard. And I was like, was he flying? But I really loved the way they introduced the bad guy. I guess all the scenes that had flying were practical. But I'm sure they did like digital stuff, right, to make it look better. Especially since I think he had a stunt double who was doing the flying, so you had to stitch together stuff and then something. I don't know how to do this, man. You try to explain it, okay? Jesus. I really love that the villain of the movie, because it's like about it takes place, I'm pretty sure it's the 1930s, right? And they're talking about like the Ku Klux Klan and stuff. There's this extreme racism, but I found it interesting that the villain wasn't racist. You kind of find out, I think, his like motivations a bit, right? Where I think he was, what was it, man? Yeah, because they start off the movie saying that something about certain people play such soulful music that it brings back ancestors or something, but it also can bring out like the monsters. And I think that's like what was happening, right? When that Sammy guy was playing that song, then there's that shot, where he's playing in front of everybody. And then all of a sudden you start seeing like modern musicians in the juke. You got like a dude playing an electric guitar. You got even like their ancestors, right? Like cultures that go back to like, I don't know, some dude was wearing like a crazy suit and stuff. They were showing some Asian characters that were from like, you know, the old dynasties or whatever. Those people like dancing and all that. Well, on a side note, actually, you know, where you got like where it has all those people dancing and then like the roof goes on fire. That part was crazy, dude. I remember as the scene was going on, I was just like, is this good? What the heck? They're bringing future musicians, and like at one part they had these modern women who were doing like twerking and stuff, and it just like caught me way off guard. But then I remembered, you know, what they started the movie with about playing the music and bringing back like spirits of like their ancestors and future people. So like when I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, it didn't really come out of nowhere. It felt like it did because of the way they did it was so like bold. But I remember I was just thinking to myself like, dude, I don't know, is this good? Is Ryan Coogler a good director? What's going on here? But you know, I'm really open for the way I go into movies is like, I feel like you can't really help your expectations for what a movie's gonna be. But you know, I try my best to just like, I know what I'm sort of expecting, but I'm trying to like push that to the side of my brain. And like whatever starts happening in the movie, I'm just gonna let the movie take me on this ride and see where it goes. During that scene, I was just like, alright, this is what they're doing. I'm gonna accept it. Ryan Coogler, take my hand and show me your wonderland. That sounded like lyrics for a song, dude. Take me to your wonderland. Yeah, so in hindsight, I understand the scene and I accept the scene, and I think I liked it. But yeah, wasn't I talking about the villain? I was talking about how it seemed like he wasn't racist. He was this white guy, right? This white Irish dude. And he's like pretty adamant that he hates like bigots and stuff. Even the fact that they're doing this thing with the vampires where it's like they're turning people into vampires and making them part of this family. Almost this feeling like they love each other in a way, but their like minds are connected to that, you know, the main Irish dude. So like if he was racist, he wouldn't be making black people his family. And yet he's like revealing more of his motivations, right? With the, like, he wanted the Sammy guy to keep playing more music to bring other family that the villain lost in his life. I think that's what was going on, right? Like, he wanted people that he loved to be brought back. And he knew that Sammy was the guy who could do it with, you know, playing the music and bringing back ancestors and whatever. I just felt like this movie had a lot of stuff to say. And, like, even though I didn't pick up on all of it, most likely. That's the one thing I think about movies, is that I don't have to understand what every message that they're trying to go for, but like, you know, I can feel it. I can feel that it was like an important movie, like to the creators, especially Ryan Coogler, and like how I guess the twins putting on that or running that juke or whatever, it's kind of like showing how I guess like black people still were full of life and wanted to live and dance and love and just all these things to be fulfilled, right? Even though they were living in times where their people were so discriminated against and the government supported it. You got the Ku Klux Klan, these people murdering black people, that even though they're going through all this stuff and technically slavery was ended, they still want to go, they still have that life in them to go celebrate who they are with their own people. Kind of like they didn't let the racism and discrimination bring them down to a point where, you know, the white people, the racists, wanted to like just destroy them mentally, but they still had that desire and that willingness to just live life. And then you get that real cathartic scene at the end where you got Michael B Jordon just decimating those Ku Klux Klan members, and he's just like blowing up their car, shooting them with bullets, poking them in the eyes. Very cathartic. And I think, doesn't the Ku Klux Klan still exist in some way? I know there's like those Duke Wizard, whatever the heck, Lord of the Rings thing they're trying to do. Those guys suck. But then you got, you know, that crazy horror stuff going on in like the practical effects just all over the place with the blood and the violence and the prosthetics. It's just glorious. But yeah, it was just a real powerful movie. And even though some stuff didn't, like with I was talking about the comedy coming out like right after like something serious just happened. I feel like really that's just like a very minimal complaint I have with the movie. And I'm sure the next time I watch it, like I won't even care at that point because I'm already like expecting it, Anyway, one of my favorites of 2025, along with 28 Years Later, and Bugonia, and Frankenstein, and Chainsaw Man, and Train Dreams. I don't know, it seemed like a pretty good year for movies.